Single dad helped a crying bride escape her wedding, she was a billionaire ready to start over. The sound of wedding bells echoed through the massive cathedral, a place decorated with golden chandeliers and white roses that shimmered under the candlelight. Guests in expensive designer suits and gowns whispered in awe, their eyes fixed on the breathtaking bride walking down the aisle. Her gown trailed behind her like a river of silk, her veil covering her trembling face. To everyone, she looked like the picture of perfection. But if anyone had dared to look closer, they would have seen her hands shaking, her lips pressed tightly together to keep from breaking down. Because inside, her heart was not celebrating, it was suffocating. She was about to marry a man she didn't love, bound not by romance but by family obligations and a business empire worth billions. And in that moment, as the vows were about to be spoken, the weight of her gilded cage became unbearable. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us of the power of unexpected love, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your support helps bring more heart-touching tales like this one to life. Her name was Isabella Laurent, heiress to the Laurent fortune, known across the world as one of the wealthiest families in America. Her father had orchestrated this wedding with cold precision, ensuring that his daughter's union would merge two business empires into one. But Isabella, despite her elegant upbringing, had always longed for something simple, love that wasn't measured in stock shares, laughter that wasn't staged for tabloids, freedom that didn't come with golden chains. Standing at the altar, she glanced at the groom, a man whose smile was polished but empty, his eyes sharp with control. A life with him meant years of duty, silence, and being paraded as the perfect wife for the public. A single tear slipped beneath her veil. And then, she did something no one expected, she turned and ran. Her heels clattered against the marble floor, her gown snagging against pews as gasps filled the room. Guests rose in shock, voices shouting her name, security moving to intercept her. She pushed through the doors into the cool evening air, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her veil flying behind her like a ghost she couldn't shake. Panic surged inside her. Where could she go? Every camera in the world would soon be looking for her. And then, by fate or miracle, she stumbled into someone she had never seen before. He was standing near the side entrance of the church, holding the small hand of a little girl with pigtails. He wasn't dressed like the other men in tuxedos. Instead, he wore a simple white shirt rolled at the sleeves, dark jeans, and worn-out shoes. His face was rugged, marked by the weight of responsibility, but his eyes were gentle. The little girl looked up at Isabella with wide, curious eyes, clutching a stuffed rabbit in her arms. Isabella froze, chest heaving, her gown muddy from the streets. She must have looked like a madwoman to him, a runaway bride still half-dressed in diamonds. But the man didn't ask questions. He simply stepped forward and said softly, "Come with me." His name was Daniel Carter, a single father who had lost his wife years ago and had been raising his daughter, Lily, on his own. He hadn't planned on being anywhere near that wedding. He was just passing by after taking Lily to a bookstore, and yet in that instant, his quiet life collided with Isabella's chaos. Without hesitation, he led her and his daughter to his old pickup truck parked nearby. As shouts erupted behind them, Daniel started the engine and drove off, leaving the world of wealth and scandal behind them, if only for a moment. Isabella sat in the back, trembling, her tiara tilted, her heart racing. She had no idea who this man was or why she trusted him, but for the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe. The journey that followed was nothing Isabella could have imagined. Daniel's life was the complete opposite of hers. His world was small-town grocery stores, second-hand clothes, and bedtime stories read under dim lamps. He worked long hours as a mechanic, making just enough to keep food on the table and his daughter smiling. His home was modest, filled with mismatched furniture but also warmth, a warmth Isabella had never felt in her family's vast mansion. The first night she stayed there, Daniel offered her his own room while he and Lily slept on the couch. Isabella lay awake, staring at the peeling paint on the ceiling, and for the first time in her life, she realized how silence could be peaceful instead of suffocating. But it wasn't easy. Her past loomed like a shadow. News outlets exploded with headlines about the runaway billionaire bride. Her father's men searched for her, determined to drag her back. She feared every knock on the door, every car pulling into the street. And yet, Daniel didn't flinch. He didn't see her as the heiress everyone else did, he saw her as a broken woman searching for a second chance. He listened when she finally poured out her heart, telling him about her loveless childhood, about the expectations that had stolen her freedom, about how she felt invisible despite the world knowing her name. Daniel never judged her. Instead, he showed her the kind of life where love wasn't forced, where happiness wasn't bought, where a father kissed his daughter goodnight and meant it. Days turned into weeks. Isabella learned how to cook simple meals with Lily, how to laugh without rehearsing it, how to walk down a street without cameras flashing. She traded diamonds for aprons, silence for laughter, loneliness for companionship. And slowly, something unexpected began to grow between her and Daniel. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't the grand passion of a fairy tale. It was something deeper, a steady, unspoken bond built on trust, kindness, and the healing of two broken souls. She would catch him watching her when he thought she wasn't looking, and she would feel her heart stir in a way it never had before. But life wasn't a perfect storybook. Isabella's past soon caught up with her. One evening, her father himself showed up at Daniel's small home, flanked by lawyers and guards. He demanded Isabella return with him, his voice cold, his threats sharp. Daniel stood firm, refusing to let anyone drag her away. But Isabella knew she had to face the storm herself. With trembling courage, she told her father the truth, that she would no longer be a pawn in his empire, that she had found a life where she could finally be free, where she could finally learn to love. It was the first time she had stood up to him, and though her father's face burned with fury, he saw something in her eyes he had never seen before, strength. He left, promising consequences, but Isabella no longer felt afraid. In the end, Isabella didn't choose wealth, status, or luxury. She chose the life that gave her peace. She chose Daniel and Lily, the family she never knew she needed. It wasn't easy, there were struggles, sacrifices, and scars from the past. But there was also love. And in the quiet moments, when she tucked Lily into bed or when Daniel wrapped his arms around her after a long day, Isabella knew she had finally escaped, not just her wedding, but the life that was never hers to begin with. She had found her second chance. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Royal Stories. Your support means the world, and it helps us continue bringing you powerful, emotional stories that remind us of the beauty of love, resilience, and hope. Special request. Comment below, would you choose freedom and love over wealth and status if you had to make that decision?